Welcome to Unleashing Happiness. I am your host, Cecilia Hendricks, and I hope that you've been having a really amazing week up until today and that continues after today. For today, I want to talk a little bit about the power of belief and then also expectations. Like if you have an expectation that something is coming and how that kind of energetically aligns with the habits that you have, the way that you behave when you have an expectation of something coming, and how you do start to shift into becoming the person who has that thing that you're expecting to get. And that's when you start to see these real changes in your life, and that expectation can be a really wonderful thing. And then last, I want to invite you to do a little bit of I guess we could call it a challenge, but something to do for today that is really aligned with focusing on a gratitude and pushing past our current comfort zone. So switching up our routines a little bit and getting our minds to think in a bit of a different way. So at the end, I'm going to share that activity. So I want to kick off today talking about the power of belief and how you can actually use this power of belief for your own personal gain, and also to kind of build up your faith as you're working on finding the life that you want, focusing your attention and really changing kind of the mindset that you're carrying. I grew up very Catholic. We went to Sunday school. We went to church every week. My mom was very set in her faith. She's definitely still set in her faith. I shouldn't say was. My mom has always had a very strong belief and a very strong faith that things will work out because God always has you. So it's very let go and let God. And even before I found any of these types of teachings that I've been leaning more into, I've always had a strong faith that you can let go and let God, that your strongest issues, your biggest problems, that you can really release those and just trust that what ends up happening is going to be for your best outcome, and that God always has you and that God always provides. And even though my understanding of how everything works has definitely changed from being around the Catholic Church and the teachings of the church, it still is very set in this belief that God, or if you want to say the universe, source, whichever word that you want to use, but that God provides at all times. And God is able to provide in ways that we could never absolutely imagine. And if you're a follower of Neville Goddard, he talks about the fact that we could never understand the how, that even if 1,000 people had to come together to get something outlined for you, for your best outcome, for you to have the wish fulfilled, the desired outcome that you want, that's what would happen. And you would never know it. You would never see it. You would never understand all the small parts that end up equaling together for this outcome to happen for you. And it all ties back to the understanding that God provides in ways that we will never understand. That God is completely all encompassing and manages, I guess you could say, everything. And because everything already exists, it's already out there, you're really just choosing based on your own focus and attention. Now, I also realize that a lot of times you're maybe hear that you just need to change your mindset. You need to change your focus. If you focus on letting go and letting God, or if you focus on having the faith that everything always works out for you, and that if it's not okay, then it's not the end. And I know this is what is shared out quite a bit. You just need to shift your mindset. You need to have the faith in the unseen. You need to let go and let God. You need to have the belief that everything's going to work out for you, and that if it's not okay, then it's not the end. But I also get it that a lot of people don't share, well, how do you get to that belief? I was raised with that belief. My mom said this all the time. And we also always looked at how this was playing out. So it was actually a topic of discussion within the home. When we would have something that happened, we would clearly say, oh, look, this is that thing that we released to God, and look at how it's worked out. Or even though in the middle of this, I thought it was a catastrophe, I see now how it has played out very beneficial in my own life. But if you weren't raised with that, or even if you were, but you've fallen off of that and you're struggling to find your way back, there are steps that you can take to start working with your own mind, to start recognizing these steps and to start paying more attention to the way that things work out instead of the ways that they don't. And those are the mindset shifts that I'm talking about a lot. That is the way that you start to not only shift your mindset, but you actually change your habits. So that is a habit loop that you're getting into. My habit loop is that I have an issue and I start to focus on the fact that I just need to give it up and let it go and it'll all work out. But then you could have one, or someone listening to this could have one that says, oh man, when I have an issue, I dwell on it, I focus on it, and it doesn't work out for me. And I end up being really anxious, and I end up maybe in a depressive state, and I end up not being able to see my way out. And that is frustrating. That's not a good way to live life. I'm sure that you're not enjoying it if that's the position that you're in. And so there are ways that you can start today, that you can start literally right now while you're listening to this episode, to start to actually rewire your brain to perceive the wins that you get in life. And all that life is perception. Anything that you perceive is your truth, right? It's happening to you. How you feel about it is the actual truth. And so you can start to change your perception so that your truth in life actually shifts. And I want to make sure I'm making this clear. So anything that happens to you is going to go through your own filters. You have a life filter based on your past experiences, how you're feeling that day, hormonal changes, whatever it is. You have a feeling and you have a perception. So when something happens to you, it can kick off like an emotional reaction in feeling, and it can either be a really, really big one that you feel from your tips of your toes to the top of your head, or it can be a smaller one that maybe you don't even recognize that much. But there's some sort of a reaction when something happens. And we use the example of, let's say, someone, like you go to a speech and you feel like the person is being really abrasive in their speech, but the person next to you may feel like they're just being passionate. Your perceptions based on your state, where you are currently dwelling, is completely different. You could be reading and picking up and feeling totally different about that speech because your perception is saying this person's being abrasive. They're being rude. They're being offensive. Like, I don't like this. And the person next to you could think, wow, this person is so passionate about this topic. I absolutely love it. And it makes me want to go out and buy their book, or it makes me want to go out and find them online. These are two totally different perceptions of the same event. But your truth is your truth. If the truth to you is that they're being abrasive, that's your truth. If the person next to you, if their truth is that they're being passionate and amazing and an amazing speaker and they can't wait to hear them again, that's their truth. And so that's why it's so important to understand and honor your own personal perceptions. But there's also this belief of saying, this is my perception. Can I change that? Is there a different perception that I would like to have? If I take a step back using my emotional regulation tools, and I take a step back and I actually consider what's happening right now and try to look at it from a different lens, is there a different perception that I could have? And this has been truly key in me changing a lot of my own personal reactions to events. So when someone talks to me, let's say that it's my boss who has some sort of feedback for me and is saying, hey, here's something that I feel like you could improve on, or, you put together this presentation and it's not quite giving the story that we really wanted to. Instead of taking that as a personal offense, what is a different perception that I could have of that? What is a different way that I could see this and the opportunity that I could find in it? And again, it all ties back to being emotionally regulated, making sure that you are making a decision and a choice for your own reactions based on the way that you want to feel, the things that you want to do, the reactions that you want to have, instead of only going from this knee-jerk feeling emotional reaction. And that goes back to the fact that your emotional reactions are a habit. So you have some sort of trigger, either somebody giving you constructive criticism, or somebody maybe speaking in a tone that you find abrasive, or a person, a place, a smell, a time, whatever it is. But you've got this cue, and that cue triggers an emotional reaction within you. And it's based off of your own life experiences. It goes through your life experience filter. And the reason that I'm kind of harping on this in order to get back to the power of belief is because the more that you can question your own perceptions, the more that you can start to refocus on something else. So instead of seeing something as a negative or not working out in your life, can you shift your perception to see it differently and start to focus on whatever wins you have within that? If it's my boss giving me some constructive feedback, I would prefer to look at it as, okay, I actually didn't get this. It's not that big of a deal. She's not upset with me. There's not like an argument happening. I'm not going to lose my job over this. I just need to go back and rethink the story that I'm telling. And it gives me the opportunity to work on my storytelling, which, of course, on my side job, I work on a podcast and I work on content that I'm putting out for people. So my opportunities to work on my personal storytelling and understand when I'm making sense and I'm telling the correct story is beneficial to me in many areas of life. Not to mention, the better my communication gets, the better my personal relationships get as well. The more that I am able to be clear in the storytelling that I'm giving, and storytelling can be anything, the better every relationship and every facet of my life gets. Because the more clear that I am, the better podcasts that I put out, the better content that I'm able to share, my written form content gets better, my communication skills with my loved ones gets better. So there was an opportunity in understanding that I was not telling a story in this work presentation in the way that I needed to, or in a way that actually made sense and put all the pieces together. And that's perception, because my perception of that event could have ended with, oh my gosh, nothing's ever good enough. And I'm always having to redo this stuff. And I'm so frustrated and blah, blah, blah. And then my perception and my attention and my focus instead would have been on frustration. And that would have just continued to build within my own life. So this week, I really want you to start questioning some of your own perceptions. When you have an emotional reaction, one, work on your emotional regulation tools. So one of those would be taking a deep breath. If you feel a very large emotion, a big emotion that's kind of taking over how you feel and your focus, do one big deep breath in through your nose as much as you can, and sit up really tall as you do it. Take the whole breath in. At the top of that breath, take another quick, short breath in. It'll literally feel like your lungs have no more space in them whatsoever. Hold that for about 1 to 3 seconds and slowly release it through your mouth. The absolute immediate calming effect that will have is shocking. I use that breathing technique all the time. I have to use it less and less now, but I use it a lot when I'm feeling really big emotions. And sometimes I'll do it a couple times in a row, but truly I only need to do it once and it immediately calms me. The second is the name it, tame it technique. So you can actually name the emotion that you're feeling, and so you do your breath and then you say, okay, I'm going to name this emotion. I'm feeling jealousy. I'm feeling disgust. I'm feeling whatever it is. You can use like an emotion wheel or just the top emotions you have on top of your head to name that emotion. And once you name it, it chills out. I don't know why, but it's actually a scientific study that's been done that by naming your emotion, you can chill it out. And then the third one is to physically move yourself. So if there's something that's bothering you, get up and take a walk, do 5 jumping jacks, do a couple push-ups, do something that physically moves your body and get you out of the position that you're in. And you can either use one of these. If you're only going to use one, I actually recommend the breathing that I listed first. That's going to be probably your best option to chill yourself out the fastest. But you can do like a combination of these, or you can just do one at a time. Really play around with which one works for you, which one works fastest for you, what combination you like, what order you like to do them in. Really try to figure out what works for you. The best thing that you can do throughout this entire process is get crazy curious about all the things that work for you or don't work for you, because we're each special snowflakes, right? Each of us is different. And I truly mean that. Like, we are each so amazingly special. We each have talents and viewpoints and understandings that no one else has. Like, there's truly only one you. Even if you're part of a twin set, right? Identical twins, you still are your special version of you. You still have experiences and a perception and a point of view that your twin does not have. And it is so beautiful to recognize that in everyone that you meet, and also recognize it in yourself. Like, I am remarkably special. I have a point of view that nobody else has. I see the world in a way that nobody else can stand in the exact same spot as me and see the world in the same way that I do. I actually see this so much in my children. I see like the special bits of them every single day in the way that they interact with each other, the way they interact with their friends, the way they interact with me. And it's really special and important to lean in on the fact that you are special and important. There's not one person in this world who is not remarkably special and has some amazing gift that they can share out with the world or share out even with just their inner circle. But you have something about you that is just so beautiful and special and amazing and just your perspective. I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but I just want everybody listening today to understand that you truly are special, that you truly do have a perspective and a point of view that nobody else has. And that is so absolutely amazing. And your life experiences, whether you realize it or not, could change the life trajectory of somebody else. And you may never know that you did it, but it could be somebody that you met at work, that you share something, or that you share something out on your social media channels that somebody really connects with. You are always making ripples in this world. And so you get to choose what type of ripples you want to make. And it's this really awesome thing because there's so many of us that you would think there would be some overlap. And even though there's overlap, there's not identical. You are still special with everybody that's in this world. You are remarkably you. And that is so amazing. So I want to bring this perspective back to your belief and the belief of understanding and having faith in this unseen, because we are taught, especially if you're a follower of Neville Goddard or if you read the Bible, that you can have faith in the unseen, that he makes seen what has previously been unseen. And so I really encourage you to start questioning your own perspectives and what are ways that you can start spending time today looking for the wins in your life. So if there is something at work that is maybe bothering you, or you're trying to get into a school, or you're looking for the love of your life and you want to have a strong relationship, you want to have more of a social life, what are some areas that you can start finding very small wins? And one of the biggest ways to do this is by focusing on these daily joys, which may not make sense at first, but let me tie it kind of together. When you are doing a daily joy, and a daily joy, if you're new here or if you need a reminder, is you do a list of things that you enjoy to do. Drinking a cup of coffee, taking a bubble bath, taking a walk, holding hands with your spouse, calling your mom. It can be a huge list: playing guitar, swinging at the park, playing basketball, going swimming, this huge list. And it's relatively smaller items, but it can be bigger ones as well. But I like to kind of frame more in the smaller everyday type items. So you take this list of these things that you enjoy and you consciously choose each day to do 1 to 5, honestly, as many as you want, but at least 1 per day. And I've even said, if you're currently struggling with like either being in a depressive state or you're just currently in a spot that you're not able to really see the joys, start them super small. That you getting up out of bed is a daily joy because you're showing up for yourself and it feels good to show up for yourself. Brushing your teeth can be one because it feels nice when your mouth is clean. You can start super, super small. Brushing your hair, going outside for 1 minute. It can really be that small. But doing something for yourself and because you enjoy it and because it's something that brings you even the smallest speck of joy in your day. But so you make a decision to do these items. And from there, you actually pay attention when you're doing it. And you tell yourself, I'm doing this because it brings me joy. And then you pay attention to the physical and emotional feelings that you have and sensations that you have while doing that. So like one of mine is that I love swinging at the park. Like if I go to a park and there is a swing, I want to swing. I actually really just enjoy the feeling. I like feeling the wind against my face and in my hair. I like the way that my belly kind of tickles when I come down from the top of the swing. I like to go super high so that I kind of like bounce on the swing at the top. I really enjoy to go swinging. And so I focus on that. I focus on feeling the wind in my hair. I focus on the feeling in my belly. And it really centers me and brings me so consciously into paying attention to the moment I'm living in. If you really consider it, the only moment that you ever have is the present one. So everything else is either a memory or an expectation. So you're either thinking of the past or you're considering the future. But right now is the only moment that you ever get to experience. And the more that you can come back into this present moment and actually enjoy this present moment and not fret over the past or concern yourself with the future, but think about what's happening to you right now, the bigger feelings of gratitude that you conjure up within yourself. And it's natural gratitude. This isn't a fake toxic positivity. You're not forcing yourself to see the good in a situation that doesn't feel good. You're not forcing yourself to pay attention to gratitude when you're really concerned about how you're going to pay your bills next month. You're not concerning yourself with gratitude and forcing to feel a gratitude when you're really fretting about what happened last week or how you talked in a meeting. Instead, you're just bringing yourself into this current moment that you know that you love. You know it's something that you enjoy, and it's on the very smallest of scales. And the more that you do that, the more that you're energetically aligning with feeling better about life, with having these expectations that things good are happening to you and are going to continue happening to you, even if you don't consciously recognize that that's the shift that's happening within your brain when you're doing these daily joys. So that's the first one. The second is to actually start paying attention to the wins. And I mean consciously paying attention to every single win that you have and really starting to lean into the feeling of, holy cow, that was a win. I'm going to mark that. And what I like to do is set up a journaling exercise at night, probably about, 30 minutes before I go to bed. I tend for my evening routine to get into bed. I wash my face, brush my teeth, get in my pajamas, crawl into bed, do my journaling, and then read, and then go to sleep. And then that just kind of puts me in a elevated state. I feel really good about my day. I feel good about my mood and my attention, and then I drift off to sleep. And I usually think while I'm going to sleep that today was such a great day and tomorrow is going to be even better. And I have yet to find that that has not happened. But the journaling exercise is you can set a timer 1 to 5 minutes, and you really just start listing out things that went well and that you appreciate about yourself from that day. And if you've done your daily joys, you already have something to journal about. You can already say something that went wonderful is that I showed up for myself. I did my daily joys. I focused on swinging at the park. I felt really good when I called my mom, or I felt really good when I text a friend that I haven't heard from for a while. So those are the ways that you can start to build your expectation in the unseen, because you are building this feeling and this energetic shift to gratitude and understanding that the more that you focus on that, the better things get. Because I do promise you, if you put this stuff into practice and you start doing these steps and working on your emotional regulation, things will get better. They will start to improve. You will start to see that you're able to handle things differently, that you feel differently about experiences that happen in your life, that your perception shifts. And it's because you're changing your identity while you're doing this. You're changing the state that you dwell in each time that you make a conscious effort to come back to this. And the last one that doesn't seem like it fits, but I promise you that it does, is starting to add that today is an amazing day as soon after you wake up as possible. So you get up, you sit up in bed, and you actually tell yourself, today is a remarkable day. Today is an amazing day. And you can use whichever affirmation it is that feels good to you, but you want to really tell yourself, today is a good day. And then each morning you get up, and that is one of the first things that you start saying to yourself, today is a good day. You want to replace your immediate worry with an immediate confirmation that today is going to be a good day. So I hope that you actually put these into practice. I would love to hear how they work out for you, or if you have any questions about them, just shoot me a note. I am happy to answer by all means. If you're listening on YouTube, you can put it down in the comments and I will certainly respond. My email is unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. So if you have any questions or comments, definitely let me know. In some of this, we've been talking about kind of this power of expectation. And I know if you're a follower of Neville Goddard, he says you need to become the person that you want to be in order to see those shifts. You need to dwell within that state of the wish fulfilled in order to see them. And then there's a lot of people who say, well, I just have an expectation. I know that something is coming. And the reason why this works together is because when you have an expectation, you are still energetically shifting yourself to someone who has that thing because you are expecting it to come. And some people find that feeling easier than trying to like act as if or to be that person exactly right now. And the expectation is probably more of kind of what I teach when I talk about shifting your habits to be aligned with the person that you want to be. So when you take a look and say, okay, if I was someone who had X desired outcome, and I then would have these types of daily habits, and you really lean into paying attention to those and asking yourself repeatedly, am I aligned to this person that I want to be? Is my current activity actually saying that I am this type of person? And if the answer is no, how can I change it? If the answer is yes, high five, I'm going to focus on that small win right then because I'm aligned to my desired outcome. I'm aligned to the person that I want to be. That's an expectation feeling though. That's I am working each and every day towards becoming this person. And then eventually something just shifts and it happens so quickly and so remarkably that you don't tend to notice it, or at least I don't tend to notice it until I look back in hindsight. But it's all of a sudden where you're like, whoa, I've become this person. This thing has happened for me. This is now in my life, and I am living the life that I have been working towards and that I have been energetically aligning myself to consciously. And so the point here is to not get caught up on whether you are focusing on an expectation of something coming into your life or truly becoming that person like right at this very moment and feeling it right now. You can still use the techniques that have you kind of feel that wish fulfilled. What would be the reaction that you would have if this desired outcome happened for you? So let's say that you're trying to get into your dream school. What would be your reaction, your emotional feeling? How would it feel if you were in that school? You can definitely use techniques to focus on that. So whether either it's the state akin to sleep, where you are in a meditative state and you consider actually visualizing yourself, either visualizing actually with images or visualizing just with a feeling, but visualizing yourself living that type of life. And you can also then pair that with the expectation of changing your habits to be aligned to a person who would be in that school or have that thing that you're looking for, living that ideal life and like being that ideal person. When you don't have the two of them go hand in hand, you tend to be kind of creating conflict within yourself. So then it's like each day you're reconfirming to yourself that you're not that person, instead of confirming to yourself through your habits and activities and your routines that you're keeping each day that you actually are that person, either because you're getting prepared or because you are right now. So start to really toy with these kind of techniques and the feelings and your expectation versus acting as if right now. I met with Tim earlier this week and he published our video talking about acting as if. I'm going to leave the link for that in the show notes just because I felt like that also explained quite a bit of this. So if you want to watch that YouTube video, you can definitely visit there as well. And before I let you go for the week, I did want to talk about our little challenge or activity for today. I am asking everyone listening to take a daily joy that is something they have not done in a very long time. So we're talking 5 or more years, and make time to do it today. So make a choice that you are going to go do a daily joy of something you used to really enjoy doing, either in your childhood or when you were a bit younger and you have not allowed yourself to do. By allowed, I mean you've just let life get in the way, or you've let feelings get in the way, or you feel like you're too old or you're past your prime to be able to do that. And I want you to make a conscious choice to go do that today. That can either be like mine, right? Going to the park and swinging. It can be playing a specific sport or an instrument. It can be giving a friend a call that you haven't talked to in a really long time and that you've been missing, but something that pushes you outside of your comfort zone and something that you really used to enjoy doing that you just have not been doing, or you have not allowed the space within your life for you to do it. And please only choose a healthy activity, one that's going to align with the type of life that you want and the type of person that you want to be. So whenever I say healthy activity, healthy to me is something that is aligned with the type of person that you want to be and the type of life that you want to lead. Remember, you're always reaping what you sow. So make sure whatever you put out there is aligned to who you want to be and the life that you want to lead. I hope that you have a beautiful day. I hope that you have a beautiful week. And again, if you have any questions or comments, or just have something that maybe you want to kind of talk a little bit more about, definitely feel free to reach out. It's unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. And I will be back on Monday. Thank you so much again for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, definitely please share it out with your network. That is truly one of the best compliments that you can give me. And if you have a moment, if you could please rate and review the episode, that definitely helps me get out to more people.